It's Bobbbaaaay, and we back.
Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast. We're in New York City. We got the young Twitter god, Aiello. Welcome to the podcast.
What's going on, man? How are
Dude,
you?
I had to start it off with the Twitter guy because your tweets are priceless. Anybody that hears this podcast has probably seen one of Matt's retweets, favorites, or quoted tweets, which I think are Hall of Fame worthy, to say the least.
Hey, I mean, Twitter has absolutely ruined my life. I think
It's ruined your life. It might have. I'm sure it's benefited a little bit.
I mean, extremely beneficial. However, it has absolutely ruined my life. Yeah,
I mean, there's no filter.
No filter. Oh God, no. Oh, what's a filter, Bobby?
Oh man, I absolutely love it. I love it. Glad we could get you on the podcast.
Hey, I mean, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. To get it going, who is Matt Aiello today, and how young is he?
Matt Aiello only exists online.
Only exists.
Only exists. He's 12 wolves in a trench coat. He's not real. Nah, I'm an A&R scout for Atlantic Records, and I am 20. I'm gonna be 21 next month. So.
Coming up soon, man.
Yeah.
That's the big number. 21.
Hey, yeah, I'm going to LA for it.
Are you?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend are flying out to LA and just gonna spend like a week out there.
Dude, man. I mean, that's the best way to celebrate. Go out there,
Fuck yeah.
sunshine.
I mean, I thought like, you know, well, I hit a local bar that I've been to like a bajillion times already. When I just
Nah, go to LA. I'm sure you got some friends out there. You can all have a good time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, bro.
It's gonna
absolutely.
be trouble. It's gonna be trouble. Where did you grow up?
I'm from this small town up in like North New Jersey, West Caldwell.
Okay.
It's about, I mean, if you take the bus, it's probably about 45 minutes to an hour from here, from New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, currently I'm here at Pace University, which is like literally right
down the road.
Right down the road, like you're on my campus basically. But yeah, I live down here in the financial district right now. Currently.
Dude, being in the heart of New York City, going to school out here has got to be
it's
unbelievable.
Like, I really don't think there's any place better than the downtown Manhattan, just because like I mean Midtown's Midtown, but like it's just so like quiet, and like I feel like there's just so much shit going on here that it's kind of hard to like not fuck with it.
Dude, you have to look at. All you have to do is look outside and see a million people running around. It's like, all right, maybe I should get off my ass and let's like
exactly.
Get
I mean, it's
moving.
just so
Let's
much
get going.
like creative inspiration. I mean, there's just so much like shit going on here that it's impossible to not feel completely inspired.
That's what helps me like get moving, motivated. Like just seeing people hustling around. Like that's what kind of fuels me up. And it's like, get off your ass. Like there's balance. You know what I mean? There's definitely balance.
Awesome, yeah, for sure.
Who would you say influenced you the most into becoming who you are today?
Who's influenced me the most? I mean, you're talking like someone like in the industry or like
no, personally, directly, yeah, growing up at least.
Oh, growing up, I mean, I would probably just say like, just my coaches. I think growing up, like playing sports and shit, because like, I mean, that's kind of how, like all this shit sort of like happened. Was like I realized. I mean, when I was growing up, like as a kid, I mean, I was the weirdest toddler ever. The only shit I was into was music and baseball, because I mean, for the rules of football were too complex for a 3-year-old mind at the time. Yeah. But you know, I mean, so I mean, obviously, when I found out, you know, not when I found out, but like when I realized that like 17, like shit, I'm 5'9", 155 pounds. I'm probably not going to go to the NFL. You know, like it just kind of made me realize that you know this shit was what I wanted to do. So I mean, I just think my coaches probably growing up definitely influenced me to kind of just go for this shit.
Yeah. I mean, you learned the discipline from playing high school sports, even just growing up, like having to show up every day, practice. That's translatable to, I think, anything that anybody like wants to accomplish with their life. So if you have good coaches, they can teach you certain things that you can translate into your work ethic and obviously can benefit you. What do you think was one of the biggest hurdles or struggles you had to kind of overcome in those years?
I mean, it wasn't necessarily a hurdle, but I remember like losing sleep over trying to figure out if I should transfer from Drexel, because I used to go to Drexel University up in Philadelphia for my freshman year, and I just, you know, I knew I wanted to do bigger things, but I didn't necessarily know if I can get it going in Philly. Yeah. I knew I wanted to come here, so it was just it wasn't really a hurdle, but it was definitely like just, you know, fucked me up for a little bit, just trying to figure out like how.
What made you want to transfer? Like, why?
I mean, it was.
Did you apply there? Like, was that your number one going into college? Like,
Drexel was my number one, but I mean, obviously we'll get into it over the course of the podcast. But like, you know, a lot of shit happened during my. I mean, Drexel's weird. It's on trimesters, so you got fall, winter, spring, and then summer. So like, instead of 2 semesters, there's 3. Like,
man, I don't know if I like that.
Exactly. So that was one thing, but I mean, I could rock with that. But it was just mainly like, a lot of shit happened. Like professionally for me, like I got an internship out in LA, and I went on tour with Party Next Door, and a bunch of shit just happened while I was there, that kind of made me realize, like, shit, if I can make this happen in Philly, I could make this happen in New York times 10, you know? So I just thought I needed to get out here, and, I mean, obviously I'm not going to drop out of school just because I want to stay in school. So, I mean, I just looked at it, I was like, okay, it's either NYU or Pace, and I don't think I can get into NYU, so let's rock with Pace.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is you can do so much online networking. You know, as you briefly touched upon, and we'll probably get into pretty shortly, just from Philly alone. But there's so much more to when you're in these major cities that once you kind of get something rolling, or you have 4 or 5 contacts that can put you into a better position or give you this opportunity, a place to network. It's like. You can make the commute from Philly every weekend, but do you really want to be doing that?
Dude, I remember like applying for like internships when I was a freshman in college, and like while I like for like the spring semester, thinking like, all right, I'll take the bus from Philly into New York, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just cut the middleman out and just move to New York. Yeah. So I just
you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so I got accepted like probably like I would say like March of 2015, whenever that was, 2015, and then I just said screw it and I left it. Wow. I came here.
So that was the whole reason you moved here, was because knowing you wanted to get into the music.
Knowing I wanted to get into the music, but also like kind of having like a half idea of how I was gonna do it, because like I had that internship and I had all this shit, but like I knew that once I got to New York, it was gonna be like, I mean, it just makes it so much easier because like you said, like everything's here. Yeah. Like it's kind of, I mean. Yeah, Philly's got a lot of cool stuff, but like, it's New York.
By the time we finish recording this podcast, there's probably been 10 deals in the industry that have happened over the course of an hour. Within miles, within probably 3 miles of where we are.
Oh yeah, 3 miles is like uptown. Yeah, absolutely.
It's unbelievable, just like what can happen in such a small area, because that's where everyone is. Everybody has to stop through New York. Everyone stops through LA. Philly, I'm sure there's tour stops, but. The business side, everything's happening there.
For sure.
Can you remember like when you started getting interested in the music industry? Was there a certain artist, or like how did you?
Well, I mean, music has always been like my one like I was a really weird kid. Like I said, like I just always had like a tunnel vision when it came to like interests and shit. Like I really was only into sports and music growing up. Like I didn't like Pokemon or cars or like any of the shit that like normal like toddlers are into. Like I was just into like music and sports. So. Growing up, that's really all I cared about. And then I remember when you start looking at college, it's like 16, 17. Like, right? So I remember looking at schools and coming across like Drexel had a music industry program, Pace has a music industry program, just saying like to myself, like, like that's definitely something that I'd want to do. I mean, I've always been into music. I've always wanted to do something in the music industry. But like I said, I had no clue. I'm from a small town in New Jersey. I didn't know like you could just like work merch in someone's store and like instantly like a bajillion doors are open. Like I mean, it's just like I didn't know any of that shit, so I just thought, all right, I'll just go to school for it and roll my dice and see how it plays out. Push came to shove, and here I am. So,
yeah. You do, but that's the thing. You have to start at kind of like the bottom to get to the positions of kind of where.
Need to, like I think just really just go out there and experience shit. Honestly, I mean it's more so just I think using these 4 years of college, not necessarily to learn more, but just to use them as 4 years to, network and get your professional life up, because at the end of the day, bro, like anything you learn in the classroom is seemingly invaluable compared to any real world shit
that's where you actually learn. You can translate the things you're learning inside the classroom, but a lot of it you need to be out there and learn. You're going to learn out on the actual road, or actually like being part of certain opportunities more so than you're just going to learn from reading a textbook about somebody's experience.
Bro, there's no college course I could teach you how to A&R a record, how to manage an artist, I'm taking like, what am I taking? I'm taking calculus next semester. Like,
oh my God. Like, you're going to be like, why am I even here, dude?
Like it's just like, I never really saw like the academic, I mean, it's going to make me sound like a complete shithead, but like, I mean, there's no like academic like real value that you could ever learn that could translate over to like the music industry. I mean, all my best friends from back home are like into like computer science and like finances and shit like that, and like that's shit that you can learn in school, and absolutely stay in school for that. But like for me, I just looked at it as I need to go to school in the city, because like bro, I was considering going to Syracuse, and like
oh man, that's way upstate. That's like huge upstate.
So like if I went to Syracuse, like I would literally die, because there's nothing to do up there, and like there's no tours rolling through Syracuse. I mean, there are.
If they do roll through, they're going through Chicken and Waffles. It's a place called like Chicken and Waffles. I've been there for a tour stop, and I was like, this is it. It was like a 100-person venue. I think that was the max they like.
So
could fit.
I guess I kind of saw it early on that like being in a city would benefit me. Obviously, that's the truth, but like moving to a major city whether it be Philly, New York, I lived in LA for a couple summers, like, it's just, there's so much shit to do that can benefit you far more than any college course or credit can possibly get you.
Absolutely.
So, and yeah.
What exactly is an A&R for people that don't really know fully? Because I think a lot of people hear the name A&R and they think one thing, and they might not realize what actually it is.
Right. So, I mean, I'm an A&R scout. So, basically, I work under an A&R team at Atlantic, well, an A&R specifically. His name is Matt as well. Basically, we just work together to, I mean, an A&R does basically oversees the entire scouting process, whether that be, you know, signing artists to Atlantic or going to shows. I mean, basically they're responsible for the scouting and really the overall creation of the music. Like, because I'm this guy's assistant, basically all I do is just run through, like, beat packs from producers and shit like that. And just, like, you know, really getting, like, this shit prepared for the artists. And I think, like, it's the perfect real, like, segue. Because, like, yeah, I could get, like, a basic internship and make coffee, but I think, like, the route that I took was just way better just because, like, the shit I'm doing is, like, real life, like, work with a real life A&R. And, like, I mean, say, like, when the time does come and when I do graduate, like, I just think, like, it'll be perfect because I already have all this shit under my belt.
Yeah. There's so much that goes on. You got, essentially, I guess the best way to describe it is the A&R is the middleman between the artist, you have the A&R, and then you have the A&R talking directly to the label, whatever the label might be. Of course. And obviously you're there to help, I guess, creation and business and development of that entire artist, which to me sounds like a lot of work. I would imagine that there's so much that happens behind the scenes that people don't really recognize, especially, you know, even like you said, you're a scout right now, but even for somebody who finally gets that A&R position to finally building themselves that name of, oh, that's X A&R. Like, people want to work with them. Like, you're just another A&R for Atlantic. Like, you got to build your reputation too.
Of course. And I think that that's kind of how, like, I mean, like, my Twitter, like, I mean, people obviously, like and retweet my tweets, but, like, at the end of the day, I mean, I would say, like, 2/3 of my followers are just artists and shit like that, just trying to get in my ear. And, like, I mean, I respect it, obviously, but, like, you know, it's just super, like, interesting to look at it that way for sure.
Yeah. And there's certain ways, obviously, to approach somebody, whether or not, which we'll talk about at some point.
Hey, sign me, bro.
Sign me, bro. Yeah, that's a really good way to DM somebody and say that. I'm sure he's never gotten that. How did you actually get to the position of being a scout? I know you briefly said you had toured with Party Next Door, a little bit with Sammy Adams. How did that kind of happen?
So, like I said, I went to Drexel my freshman year, and I just remember laying on my freshman dorm, this cinder block jail cell type dorm, just looking up at the ceiling, like wondering, like, how the hell am I gonna break into this industry? And I came up with this, like, bro, I need to patent this shit. It's genius. I'm gonna give so much game right now, bro. Like,
that's what it's here for. Drop the knowledge, bro. Drop the knowledge.
So, like I think my first week of school, I subscribed to every single newsletter for every single concert venue in Philadelphia, like every single, like, reasonable concert venue, like, you know, 1,000+ cap, and, like, so whenever a show was announced, I would know. It'd hit my email. And then whenever I'd see an artist that, you know, I knew or I liked or I listened to, I would go onto the internet, spend hours trying to find contact detail or contact information, and then I would reach out to, like, a tour manager or a manager and just be like, hey, I'm a 18-year-old kid. I'm a music industry major. I'm just trying to get some experience under my belt. I mean, if you need a merch guy, a runner, whatever, like, let me know. I'll do it. I'll do anything. And then, I mean, so that was September. A lot of shit went by. Nothing really happened until I think March. I'm in communications, I think. Yeah, it was communications. I look, my phone buzzes once. So my phone buzzes once means it's either an email or a Snapchat. So I'm thinking, like, all right, someone's snapping. This is nothing.
Can't be that important.
So I check my phone like 20 minutes later, and it ends up being, Party Next Door's manager just being like, yeah, we could definitely use your help. I mean, would you be interested in, you know, doing these few shows on our tour coming up next month? And I was just like, bro, like, you don't understand, like, I had nothing. My resume that I send out to these people is like, I was a camp counselor in 2013. You know, like, I worked at my dad's company doing market research. Like, it's just like, it's really nothing. Like, it's just crazy to think that, like, he gave me that opportunity off of, like, literally, like, nothing. And, like, yeah, I could have fucked it up and I could have not been here today. You know what I mean? But I just think, like, what led to all this right now is just reaching out to all those people, doing the party tour, and just really just making myself, like, accessible in a sense, and just, like, understanding, you know, like, what's acceptable to, email to these people, what's not. I mean, I just think that's such an important skill to have. And I think, like, you know, we're talking about colleges and shit, like, bro, like, I could spend, you know, 40 years studying derivatives. They'll never teach me how to send an email. You know, like, I just think that's such an important skill that just goes overlooked. Yeah. And, like, you know, like, just basic, like, headings and shit. Like, bro, you have no, like, people just send, like, 3 lines and, like, no greeting, no thanks, no nothing. It's crazy. You
need to have some type of format and realize that you, as we were talking about before this podcast, is that, you know, you might be emailing somebody that gets 500 emails a day, and you need to understand that if they take the time to go through all these emails, the last thing you want to do is come across a random email from you and see that there's 15 paragraphs of you introing yourself before you even get to the question.
Right.
Like, keep it short, keep it simple, keep it sweet.
Okay.
And, you know, try to bring as much value to the table without them having to ask for anything. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's important. And clearly that's how you got that party. You know, that's that. And then I'm sure you went on to do even more things that we were talking about earlier.
I mean, so I remember after that was like March, like literally like around that same time, one of the kids who lived on my floor was listening to Mike Stud. They were bumping Mike Stud, like they were like, I think the room across from me, and I was like, you know, this guy's dope. I wonder, like, who manages him, because that's just a fucking thought that pops in my head.
Always, right?
Yeah, so I was like, I typed in, I just found him on Twitter, and I saw that his management contact was Electric Field Management. So me just being me, I'm like, all right, let me check out their website. So I check out their website. I'm like, LA, let's see if they need interns. So I just literally, bro, I kid you not, I just emailed their info email. I was like, hey, I just toured with P&D, and I was also a camp counselor. You should hit me up. And it's just so funny, bro. And then they ended up hiring me and bringing me out to LA for, I want to say 2-3 months. And wow. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, here I am, just an 18-year-old kid who literally has done, like, absolutely nothing, but has somehow, because of the power of the internet, and, I mean, honestly, a LinkedIn account does wonders, too, just creating these opportunities for myself, because I looked at it as, like, you know, this shit's not going to come to me. Like, no one's going to approach me and be like, hi, would you like to go on tour with this person? Would you like to intern at this company? Like, no, you have to go get it yourself. So, I mean, I think if you just go out and get it and show that you could talk to people and show that you're just an overall good person, I mean, there's really no reason to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not like saying like, hey, can I become the president of your company? No, you're asking to be. You're looking
for an opportunity.
Just looking for opportunities, and yeah, I think that's just so, like, you know, imperative is just realizing that, you know, your fear of rejection is almost always sort of irrelevant, because they really shouldn't be that nervous, because there's really not that much to be rejected. Like, what, they're gonna say no? That's the worst case scenario. Yeah. And, you know, more times than not, they're gonna say yes, because everyone's always looking for help. And that's why, like, you know, what I always tell these kids, yeah, it's all good. You know, I get, like, people DMing me on Twitter and shit, like, asking, like, how the hell did I get here? Like, basically the same stuff.
Keep going. Sorry, I'm logging off FaceTime. I don't know how this is happening right now.
It's all good.
Wow. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is a butcher and a half. Damn, I don't know why my phone keeps going off. Hold up. I gotta make sure Matt, hold your thought, bro. This is embarrassing that this actually just happened. FaceTime. Hold up. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. All right, we're good. Yeah. So, like, basically, you know, obviously I get, like, a good amount of people reaching out to me, like, kids just saying, like, yo, like, how do I do what you do? And basically all I tell them is, like, just go out there and get it. I mean, if you, like, understand how to send an email and how to just basically talk to people online, the sky's the limit, honestly, because, like, there's no one stopping you. There's no one telling you to not send that email. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. Yeah. What have you learned from, like, when you started, you know, you're in a room full of people that you look up to, or they're people that, you know, have a lot of power and that are doing really awesome things in the industry. How do you approach being in a room with them, but making sure they know who you are and kind of remember the face without overstepping yourself, without talking too much, without just being that guy in the room? Like, how do you balance making sure that you bring value to the table without actually speaking too much? Because obviously you want to be there and just listen. Like that's, I think that's also the key, as we talked about earlier, is just listening. Just listen to what people have to say and soak it all in. How do you balance that?
Well, I mean, I think that's probably the most important thing, is like just being a sponge and just taking that shit all in. Because like if you're just starting off in the industry and you're like, last August I was on the Summer 16 tour, Drake and Future, and like you're in a room with like, you know, fucking like, you know, like I think like 3/5 of the Knicks starting lineup was there. Like it's just like all these fucking wild people. Like I think the only thing that you really can do is just take it all in. I mean, but also like how to act around those people. I just think just doing your job. I mean, I'm not, you know, I didn't start this shit to make friends. I'm not trying to be friends with Carmelo Anthony. I'm just trying to, you know, service him and make sure that he gets from point A to point B, because that's what I was doing. I was doing like guest relations and shit.
Yeah.
So like I just think you should, you know, just don't overstep your boundaries and just realize you're there to work. You know, you're not there to drink, you're not there to smoke, you're there to just work. So just do your job, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, and plus like, I mean, that's an extreme example right there, but like I don't know, if you're backstage at a show, like the last thing you need to do is be like, you know, throwing up or like, you know, like just going wild, because that's not your show, that you're not in that same place. You just need to be respectful and courteous, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's hard, and that's one thing, is once you realize that at the end of the day these people are just people, they're normal human beings that were able to get to that level by grinding and working, and like you don't deserve to be the one just having the ball, like throwing bottles back with Drake and all that. I mean, if he offers, like, you kind of have to rise to the occasion, but don't be that guy that's like, who does this guy think he is? Like,
yeah, exactly. And like I think that's a super good point also, that like, bro, like I mean, I'm an 18-year-old kid on, you know, with Party next door. Like it kind of made me realize, I mean, Party's also an extreme example because he's like a super like normal, relaxed dude, but like, you know, it kind of made me realize like all these people that you look up to, like, yeah, they're multimillionaires, yeah, they're super talented, but they're just like me and you. And I think that once you realize that and you sort of like equalize the two in your mind, and you're like, you know, you get more comfortable around them for sure.
So my question for you, obviously you're a scout, and why should artists work with record labels? Because you have this world, there's artists that are able to rise to the top without any support, without any help of actually working with a label. Why should an artist work with a label? What's the benefit?
I mean, there's just so many. I mean, like for us, for example, like it's just, you know, it's a label. Like we have so many like services that we could help with an artist, like whether it be like a producer database or whatever. Like there's just so much shit that like a label can offer from the financial standpoint. Like I mean, there's just, I mean, yeah, you could be like Russ, for example. Russ, before he partnered with Columbia, was netting probably like, I mean, like 20-30K a week. Like, I mean, something like, and that's strictly off of SoundCloud and Spotify. So like, yes, there are the rare cases where you could be making a full-time living on your own, which is absolutely by all means amazing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, there's just like, I mean, APG is Atlantic's JV label, so like there are a bunch of people that we bring on as like writers or as, you know, like in-house production, you know, people that aren't necessarily in the forefront, people that aren't going on tour. Like, I mean, I feel like as an artist who, say you're an artist who writes specifically well, I mean, that's an opportunity right there to make serious cash, you know what I mean? So I just think if you want to progress your career and get it up and running, and yeah, I think that's probably the best reason to.
I guess too is that every artist has their own journey. You know what I mean? You will have those Chance the Rappers who rise to the tops, to the mountaintops without any help from a label, and then you'll have people who get to a certain point and they realize really to kind of boost their career to the next level. It almost seems like the only option. But I guess there really is no. What I think is interesting about artists and seeing all these people who get successful is that they all have these different paths. There's no formula to getting to that.
And I think that's kind of the same thing as like me or any other kid who's coming up, is that you need to realize that like everyone's come up is different.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't look at me or I don't know, like any other kid who's like, you know, doing shit and be like, I want to do exactly that, and that's exactly how I'm going to do it, because that's not how it's going to work out. Everyone has their own way of coming up, whether it be, you know, an internship, a tour, an assistant gig, whatever it is. Like everyone has their own way of, you know, making those opportunities, and I think that, you know, and artists too, you know, artists all come up in different ways too. So I just think it's super important to realize, like, your story is gonna be completely different than anyone you see out there, and that's I think the beauty of the whole thing.
Yeah, we talked about it obviously already about just like the whole emailing and having etiquette. How do you say you get 100 emails that say, "Yo, dude, check out my music" or "check out this." Yeah. How do the artists, the ones that stand out, how do they stand out?
I mean, it's just like some of these kids, bro, they'll just DM me on Twitter with a link and be like, "Yo, sign me," and I'll be like. Like, here's the thing, bro.
I'll send it through the contract right now.
Like, it's just, I'm a 20-year-old kid from a small town in New Jersey. I ain't shit. You don't need to talk to me like I'm fucking Leor Cohen. Like, I'm literally just a kid who's, like, the assistant to an A&R. Like, I'm not an A&R. I'm not, like, this, like, big name. I'm literally just, like, helping out an A&R team at a label. Like, I'm not, like, some, like, wild fucking executive. So, I think the people that stick out to me, one, don't DM me. Like, I think that's just, like, it's too personal. And plus, like, the people who stick out in email are probably just the people who, like you said, like, keep it to, like 4 or 5 sentences. Don't send me, a whole, MLA format, 5-paragraph essay about your life, where you grew up, Bro, I had some guy DM me, was like, "Yo, what's up? I'm rapper XYZ," and they mentioned that he was married, and I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck if you're married or not. Like, that's not gonna.
It's so personal. Like, keep this all business. This is all business.
But like, dude, it's just. Yeah, exactly. Like, just short and to the point. Because at the end of the day, like, that email could be horrible. If your music's tight, your music's tight, And I think people sometimes compensate for that shit. But, bro, I mean, it's all just making sense, I think. Like, I mean, telling me that you're married doesn't make sense. Telling me that, just saying, "Yo, sign me," that's extremely vague, and I'm going to block you. Like, I mean, it's just, like, shit like that just drives me up a fucking wall. But
I think one thing it's helped me, and I think it's translatable to the artists out there, the aspiring artists, or anybody who is trying to build their own name and their own reputation, is to treat yourself as if you're already at that ending goal. I've been treating my 3rd episode. I knew when I started that even when I go to put out my 4th episode, I told myself that I have 10,000 people waiting to hear this episode. I damn well better deliver. And that's how I've treated every episode. And that's why I've been so consistent, is because I treat myself as if I already have the following that I'm looking for, or, when I'm emailing, or I treat myself as a business, even if I'm a one-man team. And I think that's the key is, it's not easy because obviously you're not there. Like, it's almost like this make-believe world in your head of like, I'm where I want to be.
Right.
Which I think is powerful, like powerful visualization of picturing where you want to go before you actually get there, so you have some sense of direction. But the artists who can send you an email or talk to you as if they already have every label looking to sign them, but they want to talk to you, it's like presenting yourself.
I mean, I just think it's super important to realize, like, the whole idiom that treating the intern like you treat the CEO, vice versa. I just think if you treat everyone with the same level of respect, it's almost impossible to get any sort of hate thrown your way. I just think that's it right there. Like, sure, like, DMing me like, "Yo, sign me," is a little brash and a little ridiculous, but like, I mean, just realizing that at the end of the day, like, we're all human. It really, like, I'm not expecting you to write me this crazy proper email. I just want you to, look at me like, not like as a friend, but like just as another dude. Like,
another human being, man.
Yeah.
We're all.
And plus, like, bro, like, I mean, that too, like, just like humanize me. Like I'm a human. Like, just treat me as such. Like, that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for, like, "Greetings, sir. May I send you a link?" Like, yeah, bro, send me a link. Like, I don't care. Like, just send me the music.
Yeah. They don't get it though.
No one gets it.
You have all these distribution channels. You have SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Where do you think artists should be putting all their attention towards?
All of their attention. I think monetizing a SoundCloud is a super, 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 super important, like, thing to do, just because you could see, you see all these artists that are popping on Spotify and that are also popping on SoundCloud, but they're not getting any money from that. So I think putting not all your attention, but put most of your attention towards the streaming services. That's where your dough's coming in. And plus, you could fake, anyone could fake a SoundCloud numbers. You could buy plays, you could do this, you can inflate that shit. You can inflate Spotify. So at the end of the day, like, when I'm looking for an artist, or if I'm looking, like, I find a kid on SoundCloud who has 250,000 plays on a song. You're like, shit, this kid's popping. You go onto Spotify and it has 1,000. You're like, I wonder
Why is that? Why is that such a big jump?
Why is that such a big jump? Exactly. So I think one, staying true to your SoundCloud, but also building that Spotify up so it doesn't look like complete shit. Like, I just think, brand cohesiveness is just, really important to any artist nowadays. It's just making sure that, like, literally on all of social medias, on all streaming, on all whatever, it's all the same.
Do you think it's important as an artist, now with SoundCloud? I always think, for instance, is Russ. He dropped, I think, a record every week for 4 years, and now he's where he's at today. Damn well should deserve to be there for producing that much content. Do you think it's better as an artist to really be, I want to be like, should an artist put out as many records as they can produce and they're truly happy with, or should they step back and be very strategic and say, all right, we have 5, decent songs. We're only going to release this one, and then maybe a month later release this. Like,
well, here's the thing about Russ. When Russ was doing that, no one else was doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So like Russ is doing this shit. I mean, you have Russ, you have Chance. Like Chance is putting out tapes and songs on a normal basis. So Chance didn't do what Russ did, but you have Russ putting out all this stuff over, basically on a weekly basis. No one else is doing that. Fast forward 3 years later, Russ has a deal with Columbia. He's selling out tours in fucking Africa. Like, he's doing all this killing it. But now you got all these kids that are doing the same exact thing. And I just think, going back, your come-up's not going to be the same as Russ's. So why, I could see the point why you'd emulate Russ, but, like, it's not going to work for you as well as it worked for him. It's funny, SoundCloud, on their upload, when you go to upload something on SoundCloud, it says this little, like sticker, and it says, like, reminder artists, you should upload as much as you possibly can. And I think that's so true, because, like, why would you, there shouldn't be a delay in content. Like, you should keep a consistent content upload schedule, but also realize that uploading every single week isn't going to make you Russ.
No.
It's not. And I just think, these kids need to realize that, dropping a song every single week and realizing that, that one week he got 50 plays was because you probably upload too much. And I think, just realize that.
So I guess finding the balance for what makes sense for you and kind of the way you're actually doing the music and the way you're actually putting it out.
Yes.
What has working in the music industry taught you about life?
About life? Yeah. Really just being a good person is all you really need to, as far as the skill set goes, all you really need to do is be a good person. Because, bro, like I said, there's no college course that can teach any of this shit. All this shit that I've done has literally been the product of sending emails and accepting LinkedIn requests. Like, that's it. So if I was a complete asshole, I wouldn't be here today. I just think, working in the industry has sort of made me realize that if you're a good guy and you know how to, like, maintain a network, that's all you need. And, like, email etiquette, all that shit. But just being a good guy at the end of the day is literally all you need to do, because the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
At that point.
If you're a good person, that can take you so much farther.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you know. If you aren't somebody people want to be around, you're never gonna have that opportunity to actually, like, execute and actually, like, show what you can do.
Right.
And I think there's just the balance of being a good person, but also, like, trying to grow and trying to learn as everybody else is. Nobody's out here that's perfect. I'm not the best podcaster. You're not the best A&R scout, but you're working every day to become, hopefully one day, the best.
Just putting your head down and work, because, everyone, like we were saying earlier during the little chat before, everyone wants to get from point Z to point A, but completely forgets about Y through B.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, bro, Y through B is the best part. A is the end goal, but you're at point Z now, and you completely forget about the whole journey to how to get to A. Then
what was the whole point of it?
What was the whole point?
You get there, and it's like you never worked for it.
You're driving for Uber. I'm doing this shit. Like, this is, like, the time of our lives, bro. 5-10 years from now, when I'm, almost 30, whatever, like, I'm gonna remember these, 18 through 22 for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because think about it. These are 4 years of college where, I'm having the most fun. I'm making progress professionally. Like, it's kind of hard to not have the time of your life. You know, I just think just taking it all in and realizing, like, this is it. This is my Y through B right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's Y through B is different, but once you get to that end goal, it's kind of like,
what's next?
What's next? Exactly. Yeah. And I think that too, just, like, realizing, like, yeah, you might not know what's next, but it's completely okay.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times I've been confused as hell, just wondering, like, what am I gonna do next?
Yeah.
But then you realize, like, well, a couple months from now, I'm gonna wake up to a new opportunity, because it just happens like that. So just making yourself vulnerable and realizing that it's all Y3B.
Yeah, I'm big on just follow your heart and listen to your gut and just see where the world takes you.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. You don't know.
You follow your gut, and then like if you follow your gut, everything just sort of happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I mean, there's no real. I mean, yes, there's a shit ton of work required, but like really, at the end of the day, bro, like no one's forcing it. It just it all just comes. It's the universe. And it just all happens.
It just kind of falls into place. Mm-hmm. Have there been any specific mentors now that you've been kind of, getting yourself into the industry that have helped guide you?
Yeah, I mean, my guy Matt McFarland at Atlantic, he's the guy who I've been working under for the past like 2 years about. He's definitely basically like taught me everything I know, how to, basically trained my ear to realize like what's whack and what's not whack, what's what in the industry. But also, I mean, we didn't really touch on it, but Sammy Adams is someone who I worked as sort of like an assistant for the from like 2014 to about 2016. And I mean, that dude's like my big brother, and he kind of like taught me everything that I knew sort of as far as like the industry goes, because Sam was signed to RCA, dropped All Night Longer, Only One, all of his like biggest songs dropped under there, and then he got dropped, right? So like this guy has been through every single rung of the industry, so it's kind of hard to not teach your 18-year-old assistant about how this shit works.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely say Sammy's someone that I owe everything to. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. What's like the end goal for you? Like, do you want to just eventually become, the scout? I would assume the next point would be become an A&R.
Right.
Like, do you want to be an A&R and just see where that takes you? Do you like know you want to start your own label?
Yeah. I mean, probably just because like I'm so familiar with this shit at this point. Like, I mean, I've been doing it since I was 19. Yeah. So I think the next logical step would just to keep it rolling. I mean, think about it. Like, everyone already sort of knows me as, that kid who doesn't really talk from Atlantic Records, but like we don't know exactly what he does, but we know he's there. And I think that, I mean, that's what I love about me so much, bro, is that like I just always sort of kept a low profile. So I think what would be next for me would just progress wherever the fuck I'm at. I mean, granted, a year from now I'll be graduating from college, so like with that degree opens a shit
huge
ton.
things.
Yeah. So I think once I got that degree under my belt, I think it's kind of hard to tell now, but I mean, you literally never know.
No.
You truly never do.
No. You just kind of have to figure out what makes sense in this moment.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a problem with Josh Peck?
Bro.
Yo. Do you have a problem with him? We're getting to the Twitter section, ladies and gentlemen. Matt tweeted out, "Happy 4th of July to everyone except Josh Peck." What's good with that, bro? What's good with that?
Just to recap, we just went from a super deep talk about your life and goals and aspirations to fuck Josh Peck.
You never know, man. You never know with this podcast. I have to keep you on your toes, man.
Yeah, so listen, Josh Peck, if you're watching this, I'm trying to squabble up with dude Josh Peck. Nah, bro. Okay, so when was Drake and Josh on? Like 06 maybe? Like
way back.
Way back, like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone who watched Drake and Josh, or who, was watching it during that time was, a kid. Like, we were fucking, 10 years old, whatever. So, like, fast forward to, let's say, 2016, 2017, we're like 10, 11 years down the road. Josh Peck is a 30-year-old grown man on Vine, like, when Bay do this, or like, just like dumb shit, bro. And it's just like, why are you branding yourself as like this relatable 15-year-old? You were a 32-year-old man. You probably made a shit ton of money off of one of the most successful fucking, bro.
Television series.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't get how like, why are you branding yourself like this? Why do you have this voice of like a 15-year-old girl? Dude, I don't get it.
I grind your gears.
You grind my gears, bro. I despise Josh Peck with a burning passion. Sorry, Josh Peck.
Oh, man.
I don't know you, but I don't like you, Josh Peck.
You one time tweeted, "Bro, Drake is the greatest ever. Laughing my ass off. Stop hating Drake. Go in the ocean with a shirt on or some shit." What inspired you to tweet this?
Drake's the GOAT.
Oh my god.
I think that was the night More Life dropped, and I remember, was it Blem or Passion Fruit? One of those like really like, you know, Caribbean influenced songs came on, and I was like, holy shit, Drake's the fucking GOAT. And then I just needed to think of an insult, so I just said, you know, those people that swim in the ocean with their shirts on, we're just gonna target them. Bro, I'm a cyberbully. I don't know what to tell you.
Bro, your the Twitter feed is great. It's hilarious. It's I would imagine it's a great place for you to just kind of like shoot the shit and kind of get away.
You know what?
Like,
I mean,
like you said, you're very quiet about what you do, so it's like if you're gonna put anything out there, you're gonna be a sarcastic like.
It's funny because like, you know, like I'll go home on like breaks and shit, like back to Caldwell, and like they'll be like, you know, I'll see someone in like Dunkin' or wherever, like getting my morning coffee, and they'll be like, so your Twitter, like, are you okay? I'm like,
I'm fine.
Yeah, bro, like I'm fine. I mean, it's just people expect me to be tweeting shit like about work and about tours and about stuff like that, and like, yeah, well, that's absolutely where my heart lies and where my passion is. Like, I mean, I just think it's a super whack look just to be constantly tweeting like, I don't know, like in the studio with this artist, or, you know, I just got to my office. Like, I mean, who gives a fuck? I mean, if you just put your head down and work and just sort of like stop, this is it, just stop searching for validation from others, because unless you like believe in yourself and you validate with yourself, like it doesn't matter what they think. I mean, if you believe in yourself, that's really all you need. Because like, I mean, it's like the people who look at like Instagram likes and shit as like a form of validation, like, oh, my picture got 1,000 likes, you know, I'm better than you, or like shit like that. Like, it's just such a stupid look. Like, I don't know, I just think truly believing in yourself is really the key to success at the end of the day. I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, then no one else has the right to believe in you. Yeah. I think it all starts with you.
As long as you're creating or doing shit that you think is dope, then that's like all that matters. And as we talked about earlier too, it's like nobody's gonna be like, yo, great job for the success you had until you had that success. So you have to just do what you believe and trust, and like what you're happy with, because that way when you do get the validation and you've put in that work, you just know it's like you've been working all that time for that. But if you're looking for instant validation every time, it's never going to actually show up at your door.
Nobody's going to rock with you until everyone else does. And I think that's just like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I think that's like the truth about this industry, is that, you know, until people see you really making waves, I mean, no one really is going to rock with you. And I think that's just super important to realize, just because, you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's me, myself, and I. Yeah. And like, until you get to that end goal, you know, Z through A, like, it's really up in the air as far as like, you know, who's gonna rock with you and who won't. But I think just realizing that at the end of the day, it's just you. Yeah, and that's it.
What do you think the characteristics are of successful people?
Characteristics of successful people, just I think those people that, like Gibson, for example, you know, someone who just puts their head down, doesn't really talk much, and just works. I think having a true respect for your work, honestly, because you can't say the person who is constantly posting about this, who is constantly, you know, flexing every single celebrity sighting that they see, respects their work. They don't give a shit. Like, I mean, Gibson is somebody who, you know, literally just teaches himself shit every single day, and who just knows how to grind. And I think that he's a good example. But also, like me or anyone else, like, that just stays quiet and just moves. Like, at the end of the day, like, I mean, no one really cares. I mean, no one. I mean, yeah, you could post that stuff and it will get 15, 20 likes, but what's that tweet gonna do? You're gonna hang it on your fridge? Like, I mean, it doesn't, like, I just think it's just super important to realize that at the end of the day, it's just you, and that's it. Like, at the end, like, are you bettering yourself, or are you bettering them? Like, that's it.
Yeah. As long as you're doing, we could sit here and that could be like a topic of itself. But what is the end goal at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Who are you trying to please? Yourself, or the people that are watching you? Or,
and I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, the shit that I'm doing now is stuff that, you know, I've wanted to do since I was 5 years old. You know what I mean? So this shit can get tough. This shit, I can get down on myself, whatever. At the end of the day, I realize, like, 5-year-old me is looking at 21-year-old me and doing the Running Man. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I've wanted to do my whole life. This is all I ever wanted. Why would I have ruined it? Yeah. I mean, I have no choice but to respect the shit that I've done. You know? Yeah.
Do you think it's important to show love and appreciation towards the people that inspire or motivate you?
Like publicly?
I wouldn't even want to say publicly, but even like, for instance, Gibson. Yeah. You just brought up Gibson. Like, do you make sure that when you see something, I know you troll with your IG comments. That's another topic of conversation. But obviously, you guys are friends. You guys are boys. He knows you're just messing around. But do you ever like try to actually go the extra mile and text him and be like, "Yo, this shit is actually really dope"?
Oh yeah, I mean Gibson specifically, like, he'll like shoot me videos and stuff and just be like, "Yo, what do you think of this?" I mean, we bounce ideas off each other all the time. But yeah, I think, bro, if you fuck with somebody, like, show them. I mean, I think it's super like weak to just like not show any love to anybody, like, because I just, I mean, what, you gotta be positive, I think, but at the end of the day, bro, like, show love.
Yeah, that's something I'm trying to get better at, is just showing love to the ones that, if you're doing dope shit or whatever, even if it's just, whether it's a text or whether it's and I don't think you should comment publicly because you want everyone to see you're supporting, but, say you do something amazing, maybe everybody's blowing up that person's phone, so, dropping a comment, they at least see the recognition that you're like, oh, like, yo, this is dope. But that's something that I continually try to get better at, is just show and give as much love as possible, and just show people that you appreciate them. And it doesn't matter what you get out of it, but it's like
that's also like a form of networking in a way. I mean, if you if the person that you're, messaging or whatever is someone who's, higher in the ranks than you, I mean, that's definitely just a good way to make yourself known.
Yeah.
Bro, like, I mean, every single email that I used to send to like parties manager or like whomever, it would always end with like, oh, by the way, I really like what you're doing, blah blah blah, and just making yourself, making it, not public, but like just making it known that like you're a fan of what they do and you support what they're doing fully, because no one wants to, if you don't, it's super embarrassing, like when you're on a job interview per se, and like you don't like know shit about the company or like shit like that. I just think keeping your, your circle and who you work with within, the whole radius of like what your knowledge is and like who like, I just keeping it to like where you're at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How important is it to follow through with what you're saying you're gonna do?
Oh, 100%. No one likes someone who doesn't follow through. The music industry is full of those people that just, those classic guys from college who just have a billion ideas but never actually like, oh, I'm gonna own this company, I'm gonna start a clothing brand, and then where are they 5 years from now? They're bartending or some shit like that. So following through your ideas is, I think that's my whole thing. Just I think following through the ideas is super important, but I think what's even more important is not publicizing your ideas. I mean, because, bro, like, say I had $1 million idea, I sent it to you, you went off and did it before me, like, you have all the money right there. I just, following through is everything, but also keeping everything to yourself, I think, is even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe bouncing, like you said, bouncing ideas off with the few that actually matter. Or, don't tell the world your plans. Show them, and keeping like the small circle around you as the people that you bounce these ideas off of. But this is the point before we get into the closing questions where I reverse the role. Okay. I allow my guests to ask me any question. It could be about something we talked about today. It could be something you want to ask me. Could be pretty much anything.
Right.
Any one question.
All right. So you went to. Where'd you go to school?
Bentley University.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yep, right in Waltham, Mass.
Okay,
outside of Boston.
You're a business major, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, what have you, do you see yourself applying anything you learned there currently, or do you, what have you learned in school that you're currently using?
What have I learned in school that I'm currently using? That's a good question. It's actually a really good question. What was cool about Bentley was that it's an international school, so call it 2,500, 3,000 undergrad students.
Right.
You had so many different people from all over the world, different parts of the country, different from countries I have never even heard of. That was absolutely amazing. It's hard to specifically say what directly from college. I think for me, it was the 4 years of really trying to figure out my shit. Like, I really went into college saying,
no doubt.
I went to business school because I knew that no matter what, I didn't have an idea of what I really wanted to do, that no matter what, the business backbone is forever going to help you, because everything is business. Music industry, you want to be a chef, you want to start your own restaurant, you want to start your own podcast, like purchasing equipment, whatever it is you're trying to do, there's a business behind it. And honestly, it was the environment, and I really can't directly say what it was about Bentley, but it was the environment of being surrounded by people who were really trying to be the best at whatever they were doing. A lot of finance, a lot of accounting majors. I was a marketing major, but the competitiveness, like everybody really gave a shit about their grades. Everybody really gave a shit about what they got in their midterms, their finals. Like seeing that competitiveness was great, because you didn't feel, as I'm sure there are schools out there, that nobody gave a shit. Like, the schools with people that don't talk about grades, or they just like, maybe it's the cool thing to have the lowest grade. Right. If you had the lowest grade in the classroom at Bentley, you were not talking about it. You were not publicizing, and that competitiveness, I think, has definitely helped me to becoming the person I am today. And that whole aspect of treating myself as if I'm already at the 10,000 followers or listeners, like translating that to being competitive in anything that I do, and knowing that I'm going to outwork any person out there, whether it's podcasting. I'm going to make sure that I'm working harder than anybody else. So I think that environment, I mean, the marketing course has definitely helped, just understanding social media. I don't want to say that marketing 300 level class definitely translated into, you know, me now knowing how to like social media my brand and my podcast, but the competitive nature of Bentley and learning how to communicate with just all different types of people, learning how to navigate group projects. There's a lot of things that I think I indirectly, without knowing, took away from being at Bentley. And, you know, I got to credit too. I spent a year at LaSalle College in Newton, which is 15 minutes down the road. So I was a transfer after my freshman year too, because I thought that I didn't know where I was going to end up, but I knew that why not go to a top business school, because I thought I was going to go to the corporate world. That's a great entry. You know, you came from a top business school, anybody will take you. Right. And I think definitely LaSalle College has forever played a role in creating the person that I am today. I wouldn't have been the same person if I went to Bentley for all 4 years, if I hadn't gone to LaSalle for a year and then over. So it was a good 4 years that went from a kid who like didn't really have maybe the confidence or didn't really understand kind of what he wanted to do, and it was 4 years to figure out like what's the plan and how are we gonna like kind of attack it. And it couldn't have been better timing that I was graduating college, about to launch a podcast about finding your passion, because I still hadn't found mine. And now here we are today, almost a year later, still doing it. So it's for sure. It's just crazy how kind of things, you know.
Well, yeah, but also like, I mean, you said like you're surrounded by people trying to be the best. I think that's a good, you know, talking point too. That like, I mean, we're in our early 20s. Like, if you're not trying to be the absolute best as whatever you're doing, then I think you're in the wrong field.
Yeah.
You know?
I love just being surrounded by passionate people. Yeah. Like, I don't even have to want to do what you're doing, but like, when you're in an environment, as I'm sure you are, even just being in the industry yourself, but when you're in an environment of just passionate people who, I see this photographer, I've seen his work, he's amazing, and then that artist, and then he's dope, this producer, he's produced some beats, this DJ's been, like, just being around that is amazing. It's like a high. It's like, you just know there's so much potential to what people could, you could bump shoulders with somebody and start talking, you know so much about this person, you connect, and then it's, if you're surrounded by passionate people, even if you don't have your passion, you'll find yours. And that's how I found mine. I was always constantly surrounding myself with passionate people, and it just eventually rubbed off on me. And I was able to kind of...
You're a product of your environment. Always.
No, there's no better way to say it. Closing questions. I want you to imagine there's a picture frame on this wall. 10 years from now, you're in the picture frame. What else and who do we see in the picture frame?
Man, 10 years from now... You know, like what I was saying earlier, at the end of the day, bro, like, this music, whatever it is what I've wanted to do since I was like 3, 4, 5 years old. Like, I don't care if I'm still at Atlantic. I don't care if I'm at a mom and pop label. I don't care what it is. If it's revolving around the music industry, I'm perfectly content. So 10 years from now, man, so 10 years from now, I'll be 30. So... Man, I mean, I hope to just, you know, probably just be a more, you know, A&R, something like that, because I think that's where most of my experience is. And it's funny, like, all these, like, you know, if I go on an interview or something, they ask me, like, well, I mean, what do you think, you know, you want to do, you know, once you got school out of the way? And, like, yeah, I got all this shit with touring, but, like, the truth is, like, through all that, like, I sort of realized, like, you know, being away from home for so long sucks, you know, and being on the road and on a tour bus, on a this, on a that, like, it sucks. Like, I don't want, it's like being like an umpire or like, you know, like something like that where like you're constantly on the road. It's just not a life that I wanted. So I think something revolving around A&R is probably where I'm probably going to end up in 10 years from now. But, I mean, then again...
You never know.
Dude, Y through B.
Yeah.
Y through B. That's, I mean, we're just we're just pushing along, just trying to, you know, find where our shit's at. And, I mean, if we find it, God bless us. But, I mean, we're still on that journey right now.
Yeah,
So
it's always about the journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find you on social media?
At Matt... Oh. My Twitter, bro. So my last name is spelled Aiello, but if you search at Matt Aiello on Twitter, what pops up is a guy from Seattle with a neck tattoo. That is not me. Got no neck tattoos. I'm from Jersey.
Yeah.
But so it's Aiello on Twitter. On Instagram, Matt.Aiello, spelled normally. My Snapchat's private. You're not allowed to add me on that. And I don't know. I think that's
Twitter's the best way to get in contact.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have 3 pictures on Instagram, man. My Instagram's, I just use Instagram to troll Gibson, but it's
just to troll Gibson, no other reason.
But yeah. So probably Twitter. Follow me on Twitter.
Dope.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Let's hit it.
What 2 to 3 pieces of advice would you give to somebody that's listening right now, doesn't know what their passion is, doesn't know what their purpose is trying a lot of different things, or maybe they're not. They're stuck in this like spot of I don't know what to do next. What do you think they should do?
If you're going to school for the music industry or whatever, first day of class, you're going to hear all these professors saying how hard it is to break into the industry, how hard this industry is. And while that is sort of true, they're lying to you. It's not true. Don't listen to any of that shit. Realize that you really make your own opportunities. Yeah, if you're going to sit around and realize, you know, if you're going to sit around and be like, you know, I'll just wait for stuff to come to me, that's not how you do it. Yeah, that's going to be hard. Go out there and make yourself vulnerable. That's number one. And make yourself really just soak it all in. Secondly, once you get to that point and you're in those offices and you're on that tour bus, you're on that whatever, be a sponge. Take it all in. Because those real life experiences are really the more valuable than anything you're ever going to learn in a classroom. I mean, I go to a business school. You went to a business school. Like, you learn a lot of math, a lot of, you know, management 101, shit like that. Yeah, it's good stuff, but like, I mean, I'm never going to apply that 4 years from now. So, I mean, the shit that you're really going to learn and really going to be using 4 years down the road is the stuff that you've learned outside of the classroom. So I think just being a sponge and taking it all in is probably the best advice I can give these kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Matt, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Bobbbaaaay. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel right here in the button below. Subscribe, as well as leave a 1 to 2 sentence review in the comment section below. We'll catch you guys next time.